Let's see, well, I'm trying something new this week, so I'm trying this from my other page for the first time. So let's see how this goes. Try and share that onto my not sure how this is done. Right. I think I've shared this. I'm gonna check. So, apologies people, a bit of an experiment to see if that's going okay. Right. Right, so let's see how this goes, folks. Alaikum assalam, Omar. Right, I've done a bit of this is a personal experiment, sharing it from my other page. So I think a lot of people probably are unaware. So I have created a status to make them aware. But let's see how well this works. Right, so Solomon, ¿cómo te vas? It's going good here, it's going good. Let's right, so okay, I think some people are kind of tuning in. I'm just gonna, sorry for this kind of delay. Well, right, so right, Sajjad Jay, how you doing, man? How you doing? Right, let's get started. I take it. Let's get started, inshallah. إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله عليكم ورحمة تعالى وبركاته. See, people are logging in. Bit of a surprise, but I believe in keeping things spontaneous. You see, I suppose I could have told them before, but what the hell? Let's keep the spontaneity, folks. Let's keep the spontaneity. Right, what I can say is there are a world of questions, people. I've taken some notes, many from Snapchat, from and obviously on my post as well. So many. Has the spontaneity. You got to keep the spontaneity. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm on time for 10, so which is late for people. See, in my world, subhanallah, I don't know how time. I don't. Just doesn't run in my realm the way it does with people. I don't know how that is. You know what? I'll tell you a strange thing. All the clocks on my digital devices, even though they're automatic, running on network time, they all run on different times. That makes no sense. I mean, how can these mobile phones, my car, mobile phone, they all seem to have different, even though I set them on automatic, they come up with different. Is that general relativity, people? Is it that I'm just working at a different time space? Or what's going on? What's going on? Right, Kay, alaikum salam, Isam. Right, Hez, you're legend right there from Leicester. Right, but we've got some crazy. Right, es muy loco. These questions, I'm telling you. Oh my God. They're just so many crazy kind of questions. I don't know where to really begin from. And loads more waiting. So, right, so let's see. Shall we get started? Shall we get the ball rolling? God damn. Ice. There's a little inside joke about ice, which some of my circle are aware of. But ice, it's from the blessings of Allah. Right, so people, let's begin. What do you say? Shall we rock this or what? Crazy questions, crazy controversies. You've all heard about the what do you call it? The AminaWadud thing. I'm gonna get back to that, people. I'm gonna chat about that. So that's one of them going down tonight, people, tonight. So by the way, this is my other page. So I thought, what the hell? Why have I got this other page for? Let's use the damn thing. Right, so if you're new to this page, do like it. You can share this page. Share it out there, people. Feel free, right? You don't need my constant idhan and ijaza. Go for it. What the hell? Don't worry about it. And so, let's get these questions. Let's get this show on the road, huh? So, right, one of the four. What should I take up as a first question? Take something mild. Something a bit religious. Right, how about making up nafal? Making up nafal, people. What? Somebody wants to know about making up nafal. Should they make up nafal? At this stage, all of us, the rest of us, we're like, wow, this person has time to make up nafal. And the commitment. So not just the fara'id, the obligatory prayers, they got on lock, right? Right, so, but, comment there about the Mad Mamluks, right, which was an awesome show, awesome people. You need to like there if you haven't already, and check out the podcast that they're doing. I've got a podcast with them as well. Right, so this person wants to know about making up nafal. Now that's a punctual, dedicated person, right? That's what we're talking about. So do you have to make up nafal? Well, you see, in my understanding, you don't need to make up nafal. Nafal are like you have in a black and white world. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch now from the 4K kind of quality of dynamic color. We're going to go from that to black and white. So in that 4K world of digital quality, there's a spectrum of prayers and different things and obligations and sunan and you know, what is it? Fard al-kifaya and sunan mu'akkada and ghayr mu'akkada or mustahabbat, and you've got all of this. This is the digital, highly dynamic world, people. Ultra HD. It's that 4K kind of thing going on. Okay, so but then we're going to switch to a black and white world. In a black and white world, there is only obligatory prayers and there are non-obligatory prayers. So the non-obligatory prayers, we're going to put them in all as ultimately as voluntary prayers. So it doesn't matter whether it's a sunnah mu'akkada, ghayr mu'akkada, mustahab, whatever, it all comes under voluntary. The thing is that voluntary prayers do not need to be made up. Okay, and generally there is a difference. Should you or can you make some up? If you want, if you're that eager, that even the angels are like, bloody hell, that guy's eager, isn't it? But if you're eager, can you make up? So there's some discourse and there's a difference of opinion amongst the ulama. So some people have said, like the witr, or maybe the fajr, as in the Maliki are called the sunnah of the morning prayer fajr, and they call the obligatory subah. So the fajr, if you want to make the fajr up, or if somebody's saying you want to make up some others, especially those, some people have said you can make them up to a certain point. Other people have said beyond that. And others have just said no. In my understanding, look, if you want to pray nafal or voluntary prayers, it's up to you. I don't personally buy into the making them up, because I think that's restricted for obligatory prayers. That's my understanding, although there is a difference of opinion. Alright, people, alright, look at that. I just tick that damn thing off. Tick it off. Right, next. Eating cats and dogs. What the? Whoa! Did we just go from nafal to eating cats and dogs? So people want to eat their goddamn pets. What is this world coming to, people? What is this world coming to? Allahul Musta'an. Right, so this is it. I read this statement today, right, this Facebook status where somebody's a bit sad about something, about relationships, and I think there was something about how relationships have gone to the dogs and everything's, you know, what's the word? I mean, I'm not laughing at that, but I'm just saying. So they wrote this statement, and then they said, you know, oh my God, why are all these families breaking down, and you know, there's children involved, and I'm sure that's unfortunate. It's a sad thing, and you know, I'm not that stone-hearted, people. Although I might have you believe that, but. And then they said, end of times, man, end of times. I thought, end of times. Why is it when we see something bad, it must be the end of times? I mean, do you not think people throughout civilization, throughout humanity, have been just as cruel or stone-hearted, or as, do you not think relationships have been breaking down before? Do you not think, I mean, it's not to say that's a good thing, but it's to say it doesn't mean it's end of times, man, end of times. Anyway, eating cats and dogs. Right, so, somebody's asked about marijuana being used for medicinal purposes. I've answered that on a previous Q&A. Check it out, people, check it out. Right, so the thing is, according to the school of Medina, okay, so brace yourselves slightly, people, brace yourselves, yeah. Oh, brace. You know when you're sitting in that aeroplane and it says that, فَإِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ النِّدَاءَ brace. You know when it's saying it in Arabic, and it says, so when you hear the cry, brace, then brace yourselves. Although you have thought that, being realistic, I mean, if there was going to be a plane crash, I mean, being honest, like, going like that is like, imagine the whole plane's crashed and it's all destroyed now, but there's the one guy who's still totally fine because he was like that. And everybody else is obliterated, but that one guy who went like this, brace, brace, he's okay. That would be awesome research. That would be like, wow, groundbreaking technology. You know, and all this time we used to ignore those, you know, when they used to read these instructions out, we used to ignore them, but goddamn if we knew. Right, so the thing is, people, brace yourselves slightly. Right, now, cats and dogs, okay. The thing is that, look, there's different schools of law. So, you know, there were many, but the ones that have persisted have predominantly been four. The school of Medina, the Maliki madhab, the Don madhab, right? And you got runners-up, like the Hanafi school, school of Kufa, Imam Shafi'i's trying to run up, and then you've got Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal's school, which, is it really a school? No, that's just banter, don't worry, no need to get all offended, people. But, so the thing is, now they have a difference of view at how they look at food. What's halal to eat and what isn't. So, the Maliki madhab generally has a difference of opinion within it. It's enriched with all this diversity, incredible diversity, people. But the main school within it, which was the riwayah, what's been transmitted by the Medinan students of Imam Malik, and which is in mainstream books within the madhab like Mukhtasar Khalil and other books, is that very few things are actually haram. Actually forbidden by Allah, as in forbidden, as in see the sound effects, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So the thing is, things like pig, okay, things like dead animals, okay, things like so what Allah says in the Quran, so that قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ مُحَرَّمًا عَلَى طَاعِمٍ يَطْعَمُهُ إِلَّا أَن يَكُونَ لَحْمَ خِنْزِيرٍ, or and so on and so forth. And Allah only mentions a few things. He says that I do not find anything haram for somebody who wishes to eat except this. And then he repeats that the meat of pig, pork, dead animals, that which is sacrificed for other gods, and blood which is like that, which is being given, blood which is shed in that light. Okay, now the thing is, well, okay, what about predatory beasts? What about things like lions, tigers, wolves, bears, elephants, kangaroos? Although kangaroos are not predatory, but you've seen that clip, haven't you? The viral one where he knocks him out. Damn, that just looks so funny. But anyway, so the thing is, right, Qudsi has just asked a question on donating blood. I'll get back to that. Right, so the thing is, now the Maliki school, the Medinan school, saw that, look, that none of these things are haram. Wild animals are not haram. Predatory beasts are not haram. Nothing apart from what's in that verse is haram. It may be makruh, discouraged, because people don't normally eat things like elephants or kangaroos or wolves or tigers or lions or hyenas or whatever, monkeys. People don't eat monkeys, but I'm just saying, I mean, I know they do in some parts of the world, but people generally, the civilization generally, civilized, I don't know, civilized is a stretch, but I mean, most cultures don't. So the thing is, well, are these things haram? So the school of Medina said it's not actually haram. Although they discourage them because people don't normally like that kind of stuff, but it's not haram. Now, based on that, in that would technically come things like including dogs, including cat, all these things would be included. But people don't normally eat them. Okay, so what happens, sometimes people like to take digs at the school of Medina and they go, oh, well, oh, so you say you can eat dog meat. Well, should I was at one point going through Chinese, but I've been focusing ever since more on my Espanol. But so the thing is, if you were to say, 是的, 在中国, in China, you can eat these things, but the point is that, look, people generally don't eat them. So it's not to take a diss or a dig at the Maliki madhab. They were just saying, look, this isn't forbidden by God, but people don't eat them. Okay, so like insects according to the Maliki madhab are not haram. No bird is haram. Amphibians are not haram. Everything in the sea is halal. So you can see a lot of things are not haram, but it doesn't mean people necessarily eat them. Okay, I don't want to take the debate to ad absurdum, but it's like the Shafi'is who who then are also, sometimes the other schools like the Hanafi school has taken digs at them for saying things like certain bodily fluids are pure. And Imam Nawawi discusses it in his commentary on Sahih Muslim. And then the Hanafiya say, well, because they argue quite strongly that things like semen and all these things are pure. So the Hanafiya say, well, if it's pure, why don't you eat it? I mean, relax, people. Not everything that's not haram you go around eating necessarily. So, I mean, you don't need to... You know, it's like saying mucus coming out of your nose is not impure, right? You know, if your snot comes out, but you're not going to get your snot and just eat it, are you? So the thing is, so just because something isn't haram, soil isn't haram. You don't go around necessarily eating soil. You don't eat insects just because they're not haram. I mean, according to the other schools, they might be haram. But I was talking about the school of Medina, okay? According to the Hanafi madhab, most things are haram, right? So apart from just docile, regular poultry kind of animals, they're halal. And only fish are halal. Non-fish, including other mammals in the sea, are haram. All amphibians are haram. Most birds of prey are haram. Animals of prey are haram. I mean, most things. If you're a Hanafi, it's difficult. Okay, diet is obviously not one of the. If I was to take a slight banter dig, I would say diet isn't necessarily one of their strong points, unless, of course, it's that mild intoxicant nabidh, and you know you want to get a bit drunk. They're the only madhab that said that's fine. I'm joking, I'm messing. Hanafiya, no need to get all worked up, alright? Cool. It's all love. Okay, so next question, people. So cats and dogs are not necessarily haram, but people don't normally eat them. It doesn't mean now you need to hunt out for your cat and go Rambo on it. Okay, just take a chill pill. Okay? Right, so did Imam Malik take from Mecca? I had this question. Yes, of course, Imam Malik. Okay, Fakhri, I didn't know that. Fakhri said in his parents' town, people eat dogs. Okay, I didn't know that. But the point is, in the Maliki school, it's not haram. But it's not normally throughout the world a custom. Like, people don't normally eat tigers. Although, to be honest with you, I'd love to try out some tiger and lion meat just to see what it tastes like. I got to taste some crocodile meat recently, and I was like, whoa, it actually tastes all right. Oh, yeah, I wanted to eat some crocodile meat for years. And then finally, lillahi alhamd. Right, so coming back to this question, did Imam Malik, because he had this whole thing about the practice of Medina, did he also take from Mecca? Yes, he did. I mean, I'm not sure what that means. Did Imam Malik take from Mecca? Because the Prophet lived throughout most of his... throughout the... what's the word? The kind of constructive era of Islam in Medina. The developmental era of Islam was spent in Medina. So in Mecca, a lot of rulings hadn't come down and stuff like that. It was just about belief. So, yes, but of course, Imam Malik didn't think Mecca was somehow not important. But it's just that he felt Medina was supreme. Supreme, people, supreme. Right, so, anyway, moving on. Right, getting confused here, people, folks. Right, okay, a question on menstruation, I mean, look at the I'm not joining any dots between anything here, people. So the thing is, anyway, right, a question on what? Right, okay, menstruation. Are menstruating women considered impure? Now, you see, my understanding on this, I have a perspective on this, and my understanding is that in line with certain narrations that are transmitted, and they fall in line partially with some views, maybe some interpretations from maybe what Imam Abu Hanifa said, some students of Imam Malik like Muhammad ibn Maslama, Imam al-Shafi'i. These people said that, look, a menstruating woman, there's no harm with her being in a masjid, going through the masjid. Obviously the masjid is a place of prayer, so she wouldn't be in there praying, but if she was going through or doing something, she could do that. And the real issue was that of hygiene. That's what I support. So you have to remember, back then women did not necessarily, I mean, they did have their own measures of trying to prevent stuff, and it did involve obviously tying certain types of cloths, but it's not as perhaps thorough as the kind of, I don't know, the kind of accessories that are available today, the kind of sanitary accessories, if you like. So the thing is, well, based on that, you see, that's what the issue was about. So when the Prophet said about the women being careful, it was to do with stuff like that. Obviously, if they were to sit down, if they were to do things, if they didn't have, and in that time, they didn't have very adequate kind of accessories to prevent kind of like, you know, leakage or stuff like this, and it could cause a huge sense of embarrassment for her, and it could cause also just issues in the masjid. So this is why, in my understanding, the Prophet ﷺ had said what he did, asking women to just be wary on their days of menstruation from the masjid or prayer areas, and it was a ruling of hygiene as opposed to a ruling of ritual. Okay, it's not that the woman was impure, it was to help save her from embarrassment and to also the whole incident as well. Now, that's the same thing. So therefore, based on that, I do not believe that menstruating women are impure, right? That's not true. Although, as a token of appreciation, as a kind of like a bonus, if you like, or a token of ease from Allah, because of the hormonal, physiological kind of turbulence that they may be undergoing. So the kind of homeostasis, the kind of physical state may not be, it may be slightly put off balance, they may be kind of edgy about certain things. Therefore, Allah has given them a token of ease to say you do not need to pray. So because Allah has given that, therefore they need to take that token of ease, as the hadith says that this is sadaqat Allahi tasaddaqa bihi alaykum faqbalu sadaqata, that if Allah gives you something as a gift, you need to take it. You are not so, oh, I don't need your gift, Allah. Okay, so Allah has made, alaykum salam, mustahsin. So Allah has made this a token of ease for women. And likewise for men in other things, he said, look, like, be a bit kind of mindful when when women are on that time, that special time, time of volatility. So probably going to get a bit of reaction now, but the thing is, and the thing is that, and this hence that men shouldn't be, if they're about to go through a divorce process, they should kind of just halt the process, allow the woman to go through things like this. Then after that, maybe undergo a certain process, because there may be a certain amount of pressure, physiological, that the woman is undergoing. So no need to kind of upset that any further. Let that time pass, and then, you know, normal dialogues can resume. Okay, so I hope that helps. In my understanding, women are not impure during their menstruation. I understand that many scholars may disagree with me on that. That is their understanding. This is the understanding I've said. Hence, if they were in Hajj, I do not believe that just because they've had their menstruation, they cannot complete the Hajj. I believe they can. they can do the final, the necessary tawaf al-ifada, etc. That's my understanding. The tawaf ruling is also what Ibn Taymiyyah did rule for as well. He bases it on a certain understanding of Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Hanifa, and he has an article on that. You can refer to that there. Okay, people, let's load them up. Let's get the next question. Right, so, right, this thing of deen, seeking rukhas. Okay, seeking dispensation, people. I heard in ancient Egypt that men could take a week off at work to assist their wives at that time. I think you'd probably just want to kind of cordon off the section and just say, like, stay clear. Right. So, I mean, actually, I don't know. I think, obviously, women would be the better judge. I think people are different. Just as men are different, women are different. I think not all women are necessarily kind of explosive just because they're on their period, so to speak. But I think some, maybe, it's common culture to believe that a woman is. I think some women just react differently. I think some women become, I don't know, like they have different kind of, some get volatile, some probably don't. Some may get a bit OCD about cleanliness and stuff like this, and just the whole house is being cleaned out all the time, and so, but I don't think it's necessary. Look at that, some angry faces. It's not that time of the month, is it? Talaq during Hayd. So if Abu Khadija's asking, where's my phone? Where's my phones? I have phones, people, phones. There they are. So and there's some more as well. But you see, talaq during Hayd generally does count, but according to some madhabs it doesn't. But a man ought not to give it during that time. Okay? Ought not to give it. Okay, people, so let's move on. Fatima Khan, yep, wa alaikum salam. Right, okay, so, right, next question. Seeking rukhas, seeking dispensations, is that an issue? You see, the thing is, I've answered this before. Seeking dispensation is not an issue, because it is not, in my understanding, following desires. Because following desires is to completely diss the deen of Islam. To say, look, if you want to follow desires, you would not want to follow Islam. So that's the understanding. Saying that I want to, what's an easy, could you answer my question I PM'd you yesterday? Right, okay. The thing is, so, right, following desires, does that equate to following dispensations? I do not believe so. Some people may push their interpretation of Islam as so. In my understanding, that is just a control freak mentality, trying to control people. The dispensations within Islam are part of ijtihad that has developed within Islam. Okay. It is not following desires. Now, there is a hadith that inna Allah yuhibbu an tu'ta rukhasahu kama yuhib an tu'ta azaimu. So Allah loves that His dispensations are also taken as are His azaim, His general standard rulings. So the thing is, some people like to say, no, you can't take from other madhabs that have ease, you can't do this, you can't do that. In my understanding, you can. That is not following desires. Following desires is just saying, look, I don't give a damn. That's following desires. If your desires are telling you, oh, I wonder what Imam Malik is saying in this, or I wonder what, then you've got some awesome desires, people. Because because normal people's desires are completely warped. Words fail to describe desires. If your desires are like fiqhi, oh, my desires are I can pray in such a manner. Wow, you need to be proud of yourself because you've got some awesome desires. And you know, people will say in the past, yeah, but look at, for example, Qadi Ismail, who was a legend in the Maliki Madhab and one of my personal heroes. But when he approaches the ruler and they say, look at this sheikh who's gathered the whole, you know, all these light opinions, these kind of different scholars, he's put them together. And Qadi Ismail said that, oh my God, anybody who followed that would be deemed a deviant. And they threw this book away, right? So the point was, well, why did the scholars have that attitude if what I'm saying be true? Well, you have to understand from a number of situations. One, okay, this may have been the personal belief of that scholar, which we respect. Secondly, you have to understand that most of these scholars were in positions of power. So most of them were judges, right? And that was a dynamic that was real to them. So maintaining control was a daily aspect of their lives. That's not necessarily the same as Shireen Shukran, that's not the same as seeking a pure religious, like what does Allah have to say about this? Because you see, what people often fail to understand or diagnose or you know, in their analysis is the agencies of power which are at play, the structures of power in any ruling or context. You have to strip a dialogue, a scenario of all the elements involved, which will include elements of power. When a judge, a supreme, or when a, so for example, Qadi Ismail was the judge of Baghdad in his time, and of Basra. So the point is that he was a very powerful judge. Now, for him, maintaining control was important for society to function. When people approach him who he will govern and rule by, like tell them, for them to say, oh, I follow the ruling of this scholar, I follow the ruling of that, it doesn't go in line with daily politics. So it's important to take these things into consideration, that people were looking at power structures. It's not just what Allah said and His Messenger. It's also power structures at play. And you can ignore that, but you are incredibly naive to ignore that. You can do that. You can wish to think, no, everybody's decision in life was always about, oh, I want to gain so much reward. Oh, I'm so pious and I want... You know, you can think like that. And I'm not saying these people weren't pious people, but that's not the reality. That's not how people actually live their lives. They weren't actually different from you and me. They were very, I mean, they were great, amazing legends, but they were still human beings. They still were caught within the web of their daily lives. So it's just naive to think otherwise. That's all I'm saying, right? It's kind of very romantic to think everything was based on just pure religious outcome and not on power play, where it was based on power structures. It's very evident. The rivalry that was placed, making certain schools become predominant, making certain power structures. This same Qadi Ismail, for example, when he died, Qadi Iyad transmits that there was a certain scholar within Iraq who said, I praised Allah the day he died, because he lived here for 40 years, killing off the school of Imam Abu Hanifa. He said that, you know, and he said, so I was so glad when he died. That, alhamdulillah, you know, it's shocking, but this was the reality. When you read about, for example, the rivalry between people, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Sufyan al-Thawri, very, very intense. I mean, more intense. I mean, if you read the words, you wouldn't believe it. If I told you that Imam Bukhari was actually persecuted a significant portion of his great life, like of his, once he became this huge figure, immensely dissed, people refused to even associate with him. They called him a deviant. They actually banned him. The judges banned him from his homeland. He was actually just like some wanderer, nomad. Even Imam Muslim, who is one of his key students, refuses to narrate in his own book from him. No hadith in Sahih Muslim come through Imam Bukhari. Why? Because politics had taken its toll. Imam Bukhari in the end prays to Allah in his famous dua, Ya Rabbi qad daqat alayya al-ard فَقْبِضْنِي إِلَيْكَ. That Allah, that today, He says, ضَاقَتْ عَلَيَّ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ. That despite how vast your world is, today for me has become so claustrophobic. Oh Allah, just kill me. And he naturally does die shortly after. But the point is that, you see, politics have always been at play. Imam Bukhari was immensely his opinions were vilified. The people of Bukhara, where he came from, ridiculed him, they mocked him, they actually banished him. The point is, you find this with Imam Abu Hanifa was locked up, died in prison. Imam Malik was beaten. You'll find that these things, Imam Abu Yusuf, Abu Hanifa's student, becomes the supreme judge and places only judges in place that follow his school of law. Hence the immense spread of the Hanafi madhab. The thing is, politics have always been at play. It is incredibly naive to think that politics haven't been at play. Anyway, so let's move on, people. Let's move on. I don't want to... Right, so it is fine. You can follow dispensations. There's nothing wrong with that. Right, Imam Dhuhali sent 2 camels loaded. I'm not sure about Imam Muslim getting angry at Imam Dhuhali. Imam Dhuhali was somebody who was one of Imam Bukhari's teacher. He was kind of like on-off with him. But it wasn't actually him who banished him. It was Abu Hafs, the great Hanafi judge from Bukhara, who banished Imam Bukhari from Bukhara. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to kind of just get caught on that. Right, so people, so we've answered that. Right. Right, uh-oh. अच्छा दरवाज़ा चलो जल्दी से चलो सलाम बोलना है पापा काम कर रहे हैं हाँ बोलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम okay जाओ ठीक है चलो मैं अभी बात करता हूँ आपको आना है नहीं चलो फिर आप जाओ कौन So this is what I have to deal with, people. ठीक है हो गया अब जाओ दरवाजा बंद कर दो So this is the thing. So this is the power play right here. This is the power play, people. अच्छा Zara वो दरवाजा बंद कर दो खींच लो Okay, right, so the thing is now anyway, coming back to these, right, so right, next question, people, next question. There was a question about donating blood. Yes, you can donate blood. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong to do so. Great people like Sheikh Muhammad Al-Aziz Al-Ju'ayyid, one of the Shaykh al-Islam of the Maliki and the great Mufti of Tunis in his time, a contemporary of and student of Ibn Ashur from Tunis around the 60s and 70s. He has a detailed article on how donating body parts is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? So, cool. Which one of them is Layth? None of them is Layth. They are, Layla is the elder one. Let's see. Layth I haven't yet owned up to. Or the many Layths I haven't owned up to yet. Just trying to avoid the CSA, the child support agents. No, I'm joking. Right, so the thing is, right, okay. Right, people, let's get through these. Right, now, punishment of the grave. What is the understanding of the punishment of the grave? You see, the thing is, nate, you people. Right, so the thing is, look, the punishment of the grave is, you see, this is an understanding that, like, okay, if you look at the Quran, if you read the Quran, it has a narrative which it addresses people with. Now, the general narrative of the Quran doesn't allude much to a a kind of punishment of the grave. It doesn't generally. There is an indication in reference to Fir'aun about him being وَيُعْرَضُ عَلَيْهَا, and that he is kind of exposed to this punishment day and night. And that's a kind of, it alludes to, well, what is Allah talking about here? Most likely is referring to the punishment of the grave. The punishment of the grave, generally, people have this understanding through certain sunan, certain riwayat that have come. This then is slightly problematized by the Asha'ira, by their core beliefs, in the sense that according to the Ash'aris, really, you're not allowed to take anything that is dhanni into Aqidah. You can only take qat'i beliefs into Aqidah. Which, although most the Asha'ira then do believe in punishment of the grave, but it kind of contradicts with the general principle that you're not allowed to take into belief anything that has been established through Khabrul Ahad. You can practice it, but you can't use it as theology. Now, so this is, and then traditionally, I think what's happened is there was a group, an extremist group known as the Mu'tazila, right, who had this belief of the punishment of the grave. Now they outright condemned. You see, the problem is, we deal with so much reactionary stuff. This is the problem with creed and faith. The problem with creed is that it's, like I said before, it's institutionalized. And part of it is to help Muslims and part of it is to control Muslims. So, you see, anything a particular group highlights, we now have to hate it. It's that kind of, it's that, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. But so if you have issues with the, mainstream Muslims, the moment you express a belief as yours, the wrath of God will descend on that belief, even if before we were okay with it. So that's the kind of understanding. Now, so people, Ahl Sunnah, have accentuated that we do believe in this punishment of the grave. Generally, Ahl Sunnah have accentuated and emphasized that. Their emphasis for it has somewhat of an irony in it, because it originally contradicts their own principles that are laid out in saying any belief that is not clear cut in the Quran cannot be accepted. Then they've had to circumvent that by doing acrobats in saying, well, we think this is of equal strength because of A, B, C. They've bent over backwards. The problem with this is if you say these acrobats are okay, then they ought to still be okay for other beliefs as well, which are denied by Ahl Sunnah. Even though they are in the Quran, or they are like the beliefs of the Hanabila, Allah having direction, or Allah doing this, or Allah having body parts, or stuff like this. All these are denied by Ahl Sunnah, generally speaking. When I say Ahl Sunnah here, I mean specifically the Asha'ira and the Maturidiyya. So the thing is that, look, creed is something that has been put together. I think generally people, there's this belief of punishment in the grave, in my understanding, how I understand it, is that it's like how somebody once explained to me, it's like saying that if the Akhirah is a destination, this is like a waiting room. And based on the destination, you will get either a daunting waiting room or something that is very luxurious. It's like that kind of understanding. But to say that people will get punished before judgment has even been passed on them contradicts once again the understanding that there is judgment on the Day of Judgment. So I think it's a bit of a challenging... I don't think it's necessary to make a big deal out of, although some people may. I think either ways, generally most people do believe that there is going to be a punishment in the grave. One thing we do know is whether it's just a daunting place or it's an actual punishment, there may be disputes. But what we do know is when the Quran speaks of the Day of Judgment, and Allah says that when the people will rise, they will ask each other, Kam labithta, how much were you out? How long were you knocked out? So in different verses, they all seem to say nisfa yawmin or ba'da yawm. Like I think, what was it, half a day or just a portion of a day? It shows that time wasn't relative to them. And they couldn't understand that how long they'd been out. To them it seemed like it was just now. So that is my personal belief. Like I said, I do accept, I am generally, I do declare myself in line with the Ash'aris and so on, and the Maturidis, although I do believe that faith should be simple. And I push the concept of faith over creed. Okay, of Iman over Aqidah. So the thing is that, look, we all believe that we're going to go to the Akhirah. Even if a person wasn't in the grave, they're in the other realm, which is the Barzakh. And it'll be very soon for them, because time is no longer relevant or relative to them. So it will be to them, as Allah says in the Quran, that the Day of Judgment will happen like, oh, as in, wow, didn't we just get here, almost. That's how Allah says it in the Quran. So that's fine. I mean, if people want to believe in a long period of, like, they're going to feel that they were in the grave for hundreds of years getting punished, I personally think that does contradict with the Quran, but that's fine. That's up to them. I don't think this is a big deal to really... and this isn't, I'm not saying that categorically there is no such thing. Like I said, in my belief, it's probably like that. It's like that waiting lounge where you go through to get... So you're in this phase which is a bit timeless, but it may be daunting, like look a bit scary and so on, because of the outcome where you may be going is daunting, or it may look pleasant because of that. That's the best kind of analogy I can give. If it's of any help, فَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدِ, and if not, off one. Okay. Right, so what's going... A quick one, wearing acrylic nails. Okay. And salah. I've answered this before. If you check out my my video on I believe it's permissible to do wudu on top of nail varnish or nail polish or these kind of nails that women wear. I believe that's fine. That's my understanding. When Imam Malik was asked, this is, I believe, in line with the school of Medina, when Imam Malik was asked about the ring or that men wore, and he was asked about wudu. The thing is that and he was asked that, do you have to rotate the ring to make sure water gets underneath? And Imam Malik said no. And they asked him, وَإِن كَانَ ضَيِّقًا, what if it's tight? And remember, they wore big rings. What if it's tight? So as into, that there's water won't get underneath it. And Imam Malik said, وَإِن كَانَ ضَيِّقًا, even if it's tight, you do not move the ring. You do not need to move the ring. So it showed, even though removing a ring is actually quite easy compared to removing these kind of nails. And there is no need to wear a ring apart from jewelry. So this understanding shows that this deen has ease. Okay. In addition to, Sidi Ahmad Zarruq mentions that his teacher, this is in the fatwa highlighted by Al-Ajuri, Ali Nuruddin Al-Ajuri, that he highlights that Sidi Ahmad Zarruq mentions about his teacher, the great legend of Maghrib, Abu Abdullah Al-Qawri, who was one of the greatest muftis in his time in Fez. And he says he gave the women in his time were using a certain type of henna. It was like mendi or henna that you have today, but it was a thick kind that stopped penetration of water over their hair when they put it on their hair and stuff. It was a kind of like a... And he said, well, when women asked me about this, that can they do wudu over it, I said yes, because telling them no is to prevent these women from praying. And that is exactly the reason I gave. So I was so pleased to hear that. I was like, whoa. Right, so the thing is, that is a razor blade. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Right, so the thing is, now, so that is in line with my fatwa. I did also run this fatwa past several, and I know several Maliki disagreed with it, and several scholars disagreed with it, but that's because I believe they're not... we need more courage to come out and handle and confront 21st century issues. right? Because I think people kind of fear a backlash. But when I ran this mas'ala past the legend and the great Mufti of Mauritania, Sidi Muhammad ibn Hassan Dado, and I told him that, look, this is the reality, and the truth is, women are not going to wipe off the... I know of several women who, knowing this fatwa, have started to pray. So, and he said that he concurs, he agrees that it would be permissible in these circumstances. So, there you go, people. Take that. Right, anyway, so acrylic nails are fine. Right, I tell you what, there's this elephant in the room, people. And no, it's not physically AminaWadud, but it's her issue. Right, so AminaWadud. Rocking the boat of controversy. And I thought, I am controversial. AminaWadud just showed people like me that controversial. I'll show you controversial. She didn't rock the boat. She capsized and destroyed the whole damn thing. Right, so so AminaWadud, who's known for some controversy before, things like women opening her masjid where women lead men in prayer, which I'm not, personally, I do not support that fatwa, right? Despite how open-minded I am also real, and I am also a man. So all those men saying, no, we're only going to turn up to that masjid because we really want to pray. You know, you nutty. I know why you're really there. And then obviously they've got like an old lady praying. But if they had some like, you know, they got like a model to lead salah, that masjid would be like ram-packed. That's all you really need now, isn't it? To get like, we're going to have this this sizzling imama leading us in salah. Everybody's late. Everybody only joins at ruku. Nutty, people. Right, so the thing is, people are like, guys are like, what the hell? I'll join in the second rak'ah. I'll just stand here and just wait. I'll let her go into ruku, don't worry, I'll join the second. Don't worry, I can catch the fourth rak'ah. I got this, I got a plan, don't worry about it. Right, so anyway, the thing is, so she began that masjid and she was known for her controversy. And I'm not saying that that doesn't have a position in fiqh. I know it does. I am aware of Abu Thawr's position and ruling and that of Muzani and other people who did say that. But I'm also practical and a man, so I know how men think. So I would just say, naughty people, do not bring your fiqh into this. But coming back now, what she said in an article. Okay, I'm going to quote this, people. So if you're offended, you might want to kind of plug your ears, right? So what she said about the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is, she said that how do we reconcile between Abraham, the deadbeat dad, Sarah, the selfish bitch, and God, the benevolent. I mean, what the hell was that? So this is her actual quote. And you see, what she's trying to do is reconcile between we have President Donald Trump. All right. That's it. All right. So we've got the orange vote right there. So the thing is now, what she was trying to do was, she was saying, how can Ibrahim alayhi salam abandon his wife and child in Mecca and go off? That's a deadbeat dad. Like, he don't give a damn. God damn, you know, like, like this. And Sarah, who, because the wife he leaves, Hagar, or Hajar, is his other wife, or the slave girl. Now, the thing is, his wife Sarah, she says, was selfish, and so she calls her a selfish bitch. I mean, and refers to God like kind of sarcastically, the benevolent. I mean, the thing is that, you see, this is utterly unacceptable. Utterly unacceptable. I mean, people, I'm controversial, okay, but take it from me, that's not how you do controversy. That's like that's how not to do it, okay? You do not do controversy like this. This bang out of order, people. You see, we are in a discourse. I understand, look, being academic is fine. Being academic is fine. I'm all for. Being controversial even is fine. But you have to understand that you are within a particular framework. So that framework has certain rules of operation, rules of engagement. Okay. So I'll give you an example. If you were being academic, let's just say, you wouldn't turn up to your professor and say, hey, I think you're a dip, beep, 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 beep. Right, I almost said it then, right? But the thing is, hey, I'm just being academic. No, you wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't just fill your thesis with swears. Let's say, I'll tell you what, let's say you were in court, right? So let's say you were in court. You would have to refer to the judge as Your Honor, or Your Worship, or the Honourable Judge. You couldn't say, hey, you effing beep, I think you're just a retard because freedom of speech. That would be contempt of court. It doesn't matter. You can have all the goddamn freedom of speech you want. You will get punished for that. That is, in court, I'm saying, that is contempt of court. Why? Because you are within a framework that has its own rules. Rules of engagement within this framework. Now, religion it's an area of veneration. It's an area of respect. Now, I understand you can critique, you can even mock. I understand you can mock. But that's when you're looking at positions or interpretations of what people have said. But when you enter the discourse of religion, now people within religion, like within Islam, we all accept that prophets are infallible. So we refer to them with the utmost respect. Even if you wanted to highlight mistakes, you wanted to highlight what you thought, and scholars have done this, by the way. There's nothing new. Our scholars have not been just so remote and detached. Read many books of Aqid. Read Qadi Iyad's Shifa. He will speak about, okay, can prophets commit mistakes? Can prophets commit sins? Can they commit major sins? And they discuss this. And many people felt prophets can commit mistakes if those mistakes were non-revelation related. Most people felt that prophets prior to prophethood could commit minor sins. Some people felt they could commit major sins prior to prophethood. They discussed this academically. Qadi Iyad, however, argued that prophets are exempt and protected from any kind of sins. And that's Qadi Iyad's stance. I am personally inclined towards what Qadi Iyad said. It's interesting what Sheikh Dardir writes in his Kharida, and the commentary on that is that, you see, prior to prophethood there was no taklif, liability, hence how could there be sins? So nothing is a sin. So that's my point. This is a discourse. People have discussed this. But just because we're going to question that, was this a mistake, or was this wise, or was this, or was this... You don't need to be rude. Just as if you were in a court and this is just a judge. How do you think you would feel towards a prophet or a messenger of Allah? Saying, as a follower, saying, hey, you deadbeat so-and-so. That's not how you address... You know, when we say their names, we say, alayhi salam. Peace be upon him. That is out of respect. Okay, that's just to highlight the veneration narrative that we have. That we self-bind with. We kind of allow ourselves, like we accept that by being Muslims. It's like, you know, you could be angry with something that has happened to you, and you could think, well, Allah could have done this or done that. You're not allowed to swear to Allah or say, I think you're stupid, or I think you're this, or I think you're retarded. You can't speak like that, because these are prophets and messengers. Okay, and we have accepted by being Muslims that there is this realm, this narrative of veneration around them. You can discuss about mistakes, ijtihadi mistakes, or the concept of sins or not. You can discuss that academically, but with respect. There's no harm being respectful. Scholars are different. Yeah, you generally do show respect to scholars, but if you got sarcastic about a scholar, if you even mocked a position, that's different. Okay, these were not prophets from God. I'm not saying you should do that, but that's different. They don't carry that same veneration. They could be politically motivated. They could have just come up with a position that doesn't make sense. They could be many things. Okay, so I'm just trying to highlight this, okay? Now I want to address this actual issue that she said. So she said, look, Ibrahim alayhi salam leaving his wife, leaving his wife and his child, let's say Ismail or Ishaq or whoever the child was, leaving his child and wife in this place, as Ibrahim says in the Quran in Surah Ibrahim, إِنِّي أَسْكَنْتُ ذُرِّيَّتِي بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ عِنْدَ بَيْتِكَ الْمُحَرَّمِ. That, oh Allah, I have settled them, أَسْكَنْتُ, I have settled them in this valley, and it was at the top of whatever, he left them here, right, and there isn't much zara. It doesn't have agriculture, it's non-agricultural, it doesn't have crops, and so on. That's what he says. By your sacred home. Now the thing is, look, us saying that, oh my God, Ibrahim alayhi salam, how could he do such a, this is so patriarchal, don't give a damn. I mean, who are you to say Ibrahim did not love his child? He did love his child. He immensely loved his child. He had a child at old age. Okay. Go on. Close the door behind you. Jao. No. Take it. Up, jao. Right, go on. Darwaza band kar. Take it. So the thing is, look, now that's imposing your own emotions onto Ibrahim. Who are we or you to judge whether Ibrahim alayhi salam loved his child? And then to say, well, I can judge by actions. Yeah, but that's your interpretation. Because look what happens in the verse. Allah says that, look, Allah says, He tells Ibrahim alayhi salam that this will now become, this was a sacred spot and it will become cultivated. We will revive this piece of land. Now, this is a sacred thing and you have a mission to call people. Now, he has a choice. He has to go out to certain regions. Now, he can take his wife and child with him, or he can leave them in this particular place which looks reasonably safe. It doesn't seem to have any wild predatory animals in it. It's above a certain valley. You can see that no people they're not going to get attacked. If he took them out with him, they perhaps may have been more vulnerable to bandits, to other people, to looting kind of, I don't know, warlords or whoever, people who may have enslaved them, kidnapped her, raped her. Now you may say, well, that could have happened to her here, but for his judgment call at the time was that this is more safe. Now you have to remember, they lived in that time. They were better judges. This was not a one-off call for them. These kind of things used to happen in that time. People knew how to call the shots. So it's like today, because we don't do things like that, we do different things. So we can say, oh my God, like, how can you do this? Well, that's because the world was different and they were doing best for their time. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of our time. Let's say, that's like let's say today, I know this is a pathetic example, but I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to the barber's. Barber's giving you a shave. So you say, so somebody sees this in the past, let's say 4,000 years ago, somebody sees this and says, oh my God, are you crazy? you've given a stranger that you do not know a blade to put right next to your neck. One slip could kill you. But you allow that? I mean, that may be a poor example. Let me give you another example. And this to do with children, yeah? Let's say somebody said, let's say a babysitter example. Somebody would say, people would leave their child with a babysitter and go. So let's say somebody in the past or in the future looks back, or an alien, and they say, let me get this right. You, as a parent, are prepared, as a mother or as a father, are prepared to leave your vulnerable child, a baby, with an absolute stranger who is solely motivated by money. The only reason the babysitter is there is because you're going to pay them. That's the only reason. So they say, let me get this right. You are going to leave an infant that cannot defend itself with an absolute stranger who you do not know. Some agency could have sent you a babysitter, right? At the hands of an individual who is solely motivated by money, by greed. In essence, money is essentially greed, right? And that's okay to do that? That's okay to leave your child like that? Is that not ridiculous? Is that not so negligent? Is that not? But because we have a narrative where this is okay. We have a narrative where that's fine. People have done this time and time again. That, the babysitters generally do not murder your children. Potentially they could, but they don't. So this is just so because we are in a world where this happens. This is not a one-off incident. So when people used to at that time feel danger, and they would say to their, like, let's say women folk or children, you guys stay here because having you with me could cause it. And here I can't see any imminent danger. Let me go and see. So for somebody today in the 21st century who lives in an urbanized city, who obviously we can't understand valleys. I can't understand living in a valley or being ditched on a valley. But just as they couldn't understand you being placed with a babysitter, a child being with an absolute stranger motivated only by greed and money, right? Yet you consider that totally fine because it fits in with the new urban world. So we need to kind of chill out a bit sometimes. Okay, when we decide to pass judgment, we need to seriously chill out. Okay, because these things are not okay. So so that's the first thing I want to say, right? To highlight. Secondly, so that I think it's very important to highlight this, right? So I want to also say that, look, so when you what can this stem from? This kind of harsh criticism. It stems from an inner kind of venom, right? I'm not saying this is the case. I haven't obviously seen, only Allah knows, Allahu ya'lamu as-sara'ir, Allah knows what's in the hearts. But this kind of stuff, it's usually a sheer hatred. For I understand, look, a hatred towards patriarchy, and sometimes by extension towards men. You get this kind of feminism, which is just a man-hating kind of worldview. Look, I understand where something is wrong, it's wrong. Where there's injustices, they need to be condemned. Where men are committing atrocities, they need to be condemned. Abuse is categorically wrong and intolerable. I'm all with you on all of these things. However, sometimes some people just get this kind of hatred towards men. And any kind of, any kind of patriarchy, or any type of, even if it's not necessarily an unjust one, it's just why men? Like, why should men have, this is then projected onto everything. I think this people have to be wary of. Look, this is it's an extreme dhulm reaction to the first kind of dhulm. I understand that men commit a lot of atrocities, and so do women. I mean, this is a human thing. It's not just a male thing. But the thing is that wrong is wrong, but it doesn't mean you now hate an entire male species. Just say, oh, I just hate men. Any men with any kind of power or any kind of authority must be evil by default. It doesn't work that way. And I think that is a kind of venom that will consume you as a person. Okay. These kind of things, they begin from within and they really consume a person. And this is the kind of thing that we ought to seek refuge in Allah from. This hatred, to that extent. This is why the Prophet said in a hadith that أَبْغِضْ بَغِيضَكْ هَوْنًا مَا. That look, when you hate somebody, chill out with your hate towards them. عَسَى أَن يَكُونَ حَبِيبَكَ يَوْمًا مَا. Perhaps that person will become dear to you someday. So just chill out with your hatred towards them. This is from the Prophet. That's a hadith in Tirmidhi. So the thing is, look, I'm just saying, okay, right, the thing is, okay, so let's get on with some of these questions. People, let's move on. I don't think that they know how. You see, the thing is, look, I'm not trying to say men are better than women or women are better than men. What I'm trying to say is you are judging a lifestyle that was wild. And they had a system of doing things and it worked. Let alone we believe that person to be a sacred figure who Allah had protected. Now that's a belief aspect. I can't prove that scientifically, but that's a belief aspect. We know that it worked out. We know that Zamzam and these things happened. We know that Ibrahim a.s. left them there because he felt they would be safe here in relation to where he was going. You may say, well, is that safe? But it was safe relatively speaking. You see, it's not safe compared to being inside a vault, but it's safe compared to perhaps being attacked by warlords. Do you understand? So I'm just making that, just putting that out there, okay, people. So we really need to kind of chill out with these things. I do disagree strongly that we start to criticize prophets, okay, as Muslims. Non-Muslims, I understand. It doesn't mean you can't have academic discussions. You can have academic discussions, but don't put them out there like that public, because people won't understand them. And definitely don't use disrespectful language when it comes to the prophets, عليه salatu wassalam, because they are, we do believe, the best of creation. That is a belief. I accept it's a belief, but that's what religion is. Hey, well, welcome to religion. That is what religion is. Okay, so the point is, look, that said, I'm not one to say that what she's saying is, I do believe in Islam you're not allowed to do that. People historically have written a lot of things. They may have written kufr and stuff like this in the past. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, look, I understand that she too is a product, just as I am, product of our own environment. Maybe, she, like her kind of thing against patriarchy, against men in that way, is maybe due to experiences and stuff like this. And I understand that, and Allah is most benevolent. Allah is most understanding. However, I think people should refrain from that in the future. People, I don't think it's, and I do not believe she's a kafir. Okay, relax. I do not believe she's a kafir. I know many legends have already addressed this issue, like people like the legend Imam Suhaib Webb, who sometimes joins us, but he has his Wednesday chill out show. And the thing is, there's other people from the UK, Sheikh Abu Isa, Ni'matullah, has responded. I believe a few people have responded on this issue. Amazing people of great stature and stuff. So that's my piece on it. Okay, I do not believe she's a kafira. I do not believe. What I'm trying to say is that, look, this just isn't right. That's all. Let's just nip it in the bud. Let's just move on. And if anybody is calling for apostasy and death penalty, then I think that person is more retarded than than the statements that she's initially made. We do not have the right to call to violate the sanctity of anybody's life. Okay, so just to clarify that, it is, in my understanding, utterly haram to call for, to make these cries about people should be killed or so on and things like this. Just to clarify that. Okay? Right, people. Whoa. Wow. How many different... What should we say, people? What should we say? Right, okay. Fatima Khan, a question on suicide. Suicide is not permissible within Islam. And obviously you can understand why. Because life is incredibly sacred and it's everything. Okay? Think about it. And life is awesome. Life is awesome. Sometimes it's just your perspective that has to change. You understand? And there was a question on depression, and I'd like to tie that into here. Right. The question is that Muslims and depression. And the thing is that, look, depression is real, and depression is not. Okay, there's different types of depression. I understand it's like a spectrum. There's one kind of depression as in feeling depressed, like feeling sad. And we all feel sad at some point. Yeah, like I do once I realize, like, oh my God, I'm out of protein. Oh my God, my pre-workout has run out. Or oh my God, like today's bank holiday and the gym is shut early and I'm sad. But believe it or not, I actually am I'm a bit like, damn, I really needed to go to the gym today. I haven't been for about 3 days now, and I feel like this is like borderline. We're getting to borderline kufr now. You know, it's like I got to watch out for my iman now. So I was really looking forward, but I can't now. So I'm like, I'm sad. But so like that. Okay, so let's say other people were sad at times. Obviously, something happens to somebody. That kind of sadness is natural, and it will kind of, you know, go up and down, and you'll regain your normal kind of state of mind. Then there's like a clinical depression, which is where you're depressed for long periods of time. And there's clinically ways of diagnosing this, and it will result in things like a loss of appetite, a loss of, you know, you won't eat, a loss of interest in things, insomnia. There'll be several things and they can actually check as well, and you may be, for example, the serotonin levels in your brain are low and things like this, and they can give you, these kind of SSRIs and antidepressants and stuff like this, right? Now, okay, depression is real, I understand. Okay, there's one thing here. Me as an individual, I do think that people can pull themselves out of depression, and maybe some people don't like or may not agree with my understanding on things, but I do think that kind of depression, which isn't around an incident. One is, so obviously, like if somebody had an accident and something terrible had happened to them, they would be depressed. Now that is understandable. But some kind of depressions are, there's no reason. Like, why are you depressed? No reason. Like has an accident happened? No. Has this happened? No. I'm just depressed. I'm just depressed. Like that kind of person, you feel like kind of, where's my bloody pillow gone? I can't find it. But those kind of people, you feel like going like, oh! Like, get a grip of yourself, God damn it! Stop being bloody depressed, okay? Like, if you've got a loss of appetite, just eat. I don't care, just eat. Force yourself to eat, right? Go to the gym, watch some comedy, meet some friends, have a laugh. I mean, nothing's actually happened to you, for God's sake. Stop being depressed, right? So that kind of depression, I think I would be the worst person to to kind of ever be around if you had that kind of depression, because I would just be like, what the hell are you so depressed about? Devdas, hashtag Devdas for no reason. So the point is, but you see, this is why I say that's me. I just can't understand how people can't pull themselves out of it. Like, why they don't struggle to pull themselves out of it. Like, get out there, get laughing, watch funny things, go to the gym, it's got to be a mental preoccupy your mind. I do believe that I believe anyway, that you can pull yourself out of those kind of depressions. The other ones which are linked to actual trauma, I understand that that's got that traumatic thing with it. Okay. Now it could be genetic. I understand that these things could be genetic, like you're predisposed to have a, like low serotonin levels and stuff like that. If that is the case, I think, you see, I do believe that even when it is genetic, I am a strong believer in the power in willpower. And I believe you can, there is, you see, you do have this kind of epigenetic, this kind of, this thing where you have a synthesis of genes and your environment. I seriously think people need to hang out more often with other mates, with other friends. They need to have a laugh more often. I find a lot of people just live in a mundane rut. Right. So they just live in a very mundane rut. Okay, so they don't kind of like really... Right, so they live in this mundane rut. And they just go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, and that just becomes life. People, do take time out for yourselves. Take time out for your health. Try to visit the gym. Try to spoil yourselves on sometimes. Whatever that is, a spa visit. Try to, seriously, whatever makes you laugh, try to do things like that. Right? I blocked somebody who is a known hater. So I just kind of look, I ain't got time for known haters, right? So I'll see if that adds to their depression. But now, having said this, right, I want to add to the next point. And that is that people say, okay, but this depression, and do seek medical advice. Seek, look, I already said. You can get SSRIs and other kind of, like the Prozac equivalent and stuff like that. You can get different medicinal assistance to help you with your depression. That's fine, right? But what goes wrong here, I'll tell you what goes wrong, is that people sometimes say, oh, the reason you're depressed is because you haven't got Allah in your life. Okay. That is the worst possible thing you could say to somebody. Right, that is the worst possible thing you could ever say to somebody, because that is not true. Right, I don't know who it is with the angry faces, but obviously depressed people. Hey, listen, that's just telling me that you're angry and sad. Well, guess what? I'm sorry. See, the thing is that, look, what you should not tell people is that Allah is not in your life. That is the worst possible thing. Because first of all, it's not true. Allah is in their lives. Okay, to start off with. Secondly, right, that is a ridiculous solution. Oh, brother, because you commit sins, you're depressed. Well, kullu bani Adam khata. Khata'un, that all the children of Adam, we all commit sins. So just get off your goddamn high horse of piety and be real for a moment. Okay? People are not depressed because of their sins. Stop. That would make somebody more depressed. That, if I was sad and somebody came to me and said, you know why you're sad? It's because God is punishing you. I'd be like, you beep 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 beep, like what the hell is wrong with you? How dare you tell somebody else their iman is weak? Who on earth made you deputy Allah? I'm sorry, since it's bank holiday, I thought, God can take a day off and I'll just be deputy God. Just casting people to damnation on earth. That, hey, the reason you're sad, I'll tell you why you're sad, bro, because you disobey Allah. Well, you retard, how happy are you? God damn it. Show me your life. I'd like to see infinite abundant joys that you have, right? So the point is, look, that is not what is going on. My point, by the way, what I said earlier on, that was just to encourage people to, like, in the belief that God helps those who help themselves. Look, try, push, okay? Have that willpower. You can pull yourself out of this. Trust me, it may take time, but do it, God damn it. Don't give up. That's my point of saying, look, go to the gym, go to a steam room, go to, meet with friends, change your atmosphere, go out, get some drinks or food or whatever, watch some comedy, laugh a little. Laughing is awesome. And so these things, that's what I meant. I didn't mean to kind of mock people who are depressed. That's not what I'm doing, okay? So, but this is an insulting response. Right, okay, right. Let's move on. Next question, people. Can we make dua at the Prophet's graves? Qudsiya, yes, you can. Of course, you can make dua at the Prophet's graves. But the thing is, when you say Prophet's graves, I don't think any graves beyond the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are actually authenticated for prophets. I think they're just all kind of, they're all kind of just, they're kind of just guesswork, really. It's not really true. Right, so the point is, okay, whoa, it's getting really, let's try to, right, I've been asked, look, why is Islam the truth, or why do I believe in Islam? I want to say, look, the thing is, people believe because it makes sense to them. Okay, go bomb yourself. Wow, right, okay. The thing is, look, people believe because faith makes sense to them. Okay. What faith makes sense to people is different. To me, out of all of the religions, you see, look, people believe because religion makes sense to them. Out of these people, most will be those who just found themselves in that religion. And then most will be people who don't really ever ponder about the religion. They just go through life. And that's fine as well, right? And there will be a certain amount who actually reflect over the religion. Now, myself, I would say I have reflected to some extent. I am on that difficult journey of, pondering, reflecting, trying to, this whole journey of trying to understand Allah, His creation. It's a lifelong journey, okay? So this is how I accept. Now the question is, look, why does faith make sense to you? Well, there could be a number of reasons it makes sense to me for whatever reason. But I think, look, but it makes sense to people because, for example, most people believe that there is something out there. There is some reason to this. It's not just, like, you look at the universe and you think, wow, like, I tell you, it's like I was, the other day, listening to, I'm going through this audio book of, The Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. And it's just phenomenal. And it was speaking about this galaxy of ours, the Milky Way. And it was saying how in this galaxy there were 100 billion potentially stars, and how there are 100 billion galaxies out there. That's just like, whoa. Like, to me, it feels that there is, there is something greater out there. That makes sense to me. Now, somebody asked me before, look, and I explained about from the cosmos to the quantum, and they said, well, don't tell me this, just tell me what you believe. And I'm trying to tell you, look, it makes sense to me. Why does it make sense? Well, it makes sense to me. What do you want me to say? It makes sense to me. Now, you can ask about, well, okay, there are certain points that may be problematic and people may look at them with different perspectives, but it does make sense to most people that there is this greater being. Why Islam out of the other organized religions? Well, one, I was born into it, and two, it actually in the top league, the kind of the 6 major religions, Islam is actually the most consistent. And so that's why it makes sense to me. Okay, now, your nose is actually perfect, Qudsiya. Don't walk into, whoa. Because I've had one. Okay, I'm not sure what this question is about. Is this to do with cosmetic surgery? I have answered this before. Look, cosmetic surgery, in my understanding, is permitted. There have been Right, the thing is, like, so somebody's asked about cosmetic surgery. I do believe that cosmetic surgery is permissible in Islam. I do not believe this is a violation of Allah saying about changing the creation of Allah, because changing the creation of Allah is to do with deforming. It's not to do with kind of enhancing. So you have to remember that people get their genes from their parents, and sometimes some people, especially Asians, especially Pakistanis, they do all this constant inbreeding until we end up with the hills of eyes. Nevada 51. So until the DNA turns around and goes, bah. It goes like, it swears and goes, give me some room to play here. I'm just looking into a goddamn mirror. So the thing is that, now because of that, obviously, some of us, we look a bit strange at times. All of us, and I'm Pakistani, so I'm not being racist, right? But I'm just being honest. So sometimes we have like a monobrow. And sometimes you have like strange. See, my nose is big, but I mean sometimes you have all sorts. So you have like ears out there and eyes over here and all this, all this going on, right? So in these cases, right, the point is that can you do cosmetic surgery? I believe you can. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. You can do cosmetic surgery. Many of the ulama of Al-Azhar have said that as well. I totally agree with that. This is returning the creation of Allah to a more perfect state. Okay, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We created insan, not you and me, insan, فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. And then he kind of like denigrated himself or whatever. Now we can go back to a great enhancement. There's nothing wrong with that. Whether that's a nose job, whether that's removing moles, or whether that's certain enhancements, all of these things, in my understanding, do not violate the Quran or Islam. If they do, then as Imam Qarafi says, Imam Qarafi says when he's discussing tattoos, he says, Abul Hasan al-Adwi brings his comment whilst he's discussing this in the Risala. He says, as Qarafi says, he says that, many of the ulama of the Malikiyya or the Shafi'iyya said, doing things like doing tattoos or whatever is changing the creation of Allah. He says, how? He says, that's not change. No, sorry, he says, they say it's deception. He says, is this deception? How? And the point is, he says, if you say it's changing the creation of Allah, he says, is it for betterment? Because why are we allowed to clip nails? Why are we allowed to cut hair? Why are we allowed to have circumcision? If God wanted us circumcised, he could have made us circumcised. But he didn't. But yet we go for the snip. Right? For men, that is. I'm totally against this female circumcision thing. But, so the point is, so these things are permitted in my understanding. Obviously, when some people here are asking about eyelashes, could say eyelashes extensions or these kind of things, in my understanding, look, these things are permissible, but it depends. It depends. Look, everything has a context, right? Everything has a context. It's like, I bought something, hey, look, I've bought some detergent. Is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. I'm about to shove it down somebody's throat. Whoa. That's not okay. So the thing is, look, you've all read the article where the guy got married, and and in the morning, there were two actually. One was his wife went swimming on the honeymoon, and the other was in the morning when she'd had a wash, and she came out, and all of a sudden, he was like, Auntie G, I'm sure my wife was here somewhere, and oh my God, I've seen some of these things on Facebook. The women, I mean, I'm not, look, but they are shocking. and the before makeup and after are literally, wallahi, are two different people. You could not find. You could, if that person went missing and you used that photo, you'd never find them. They would never get through immigration with that photo. Because they don't look like that. You've got like this fine model specimen, which people will be like, wow, wow. And then she'll like wash her face. It'll be like wudu time. And goddamn, like the demons from the depths of hell will emerge. For those people, I think they should just go for surgery and make it permanent. Because just to ease the burden of the rest of the creation. Because other people got to put up with that stuff. So look, normal makeup is fine. I've got nothing wrong, and I've answered this before. Wearing makeup is fine. I believe you can wear makeup outside. This is what certain top shuyukh today, including Muhammad Hassan Dadu, has said. It's on YouTube. You can watch it yourself. There's a great sheikh, Ahmed Al-Ghamidi, of not the Pakistani sheikh, but there's one from Saudi Arabia who was actually the chair of the hay'a, the whole Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, the vice police. He was their scholar. He's given open interviews. I am of that position. That is permissible. Now, enhancing yourself, making yourself look pretty, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But I think you have to be careful how this is being used. Like, let's say if somebody was deceiving, like if especially on like where you're getting to know people, I think they should, like, makeup is good or these things are good, but they should be within a, like, it shouldn't be deceptive. Like those pictures I've seen on Facebook that were viral about the without makeup and with. Now, if you got to know somebody only through pictures and you said, look, this is me and this and that, then I think you should just be honest, because that is not you. Or it's not you once you that is literally putting a face on. But normal makeup isn't like that. Normal makeup is still the same person. When they wash off their makeup, they're still the same person. There's subtle enhancements, but there's not. It's like a guy doing up his, it's a bit more than a guy doing up his hair and having a shave, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, people. You get the gist of it. Don't worry about it. But don't be scaring the hell out. Don't do the Jekyll and Hyde thing, people. Right. Right, so god damn. Okay, let's fire out some of these questions, people. Hitting verse. This is a very good question. I've answered this previously. It's going to take too much depth to go into. If you go through my previous Q&A, search them on YouTube. You can type in Mufti Layth or Mufti Abu Layth and hitting, and it should come up in some of them. Check through the index. I have answered it in a lot more depth about the culture and what it meant, and also the trajectory hermeneutics. Okay, right. Signs of the hour. I've answered this before. Look, people. I think, look, part of religion, part of Islam as well, is it always has this kind of talk, and it's very encouraging for certain people. However, I don't think we should become obsessed about the apocalypse. I don't think we should be people who become a death cult. Okay, signs of the hour, if it happens, it happens. Just chill out, people. Just live life. This is what the hadith in Sahih Muslim said, that the Prophet said, look, if the final hour was coming and you're eating, carry on eating. I mean, think about it. Why would you carry on eating? You're about to die. But the Prophet said, look, focus on living. That was the emphasis. The Mahdi is a mainstream. I've answered this previously. It is a mainstream view. Although it has been questioned by certain Ahl Sunnah scholars like Ibn Khaldun, who said there was no Sahih hadith to prove that the Mahdi was actually a legitimate person. And he's kind of got a point. There were no clear Sahih and Sarih hadith, although it is a mainstream view that people believe there will be a Mahdi towards the end of time. However, our focus should be on living now. We shouldn't get obsessed with these things. Right. Is he wearing a vest under that t-shirt? What? Am I wearing a vest? Don't think so, people. Right, unless you know something that I don't. Nutty. Right, okay, so a stranger came to someone and asked them that he happened to be like a clairvoyant and knew everything about this person. Sheikh Adam Kelwick in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban, people. Sheikh Adam Kelwick, legend, Don If you're not already following him, you need to. Right, that is one of UK and Liverpool's finest right there. Right, so people asked, somebody asked about a stranger that came up to them and happened to know so much about this individual. Things that they couldn't have possibly known. Is this because right, so is this because the person could see into the ghaib, the unseen, and so on? Look, I don't really believe any of that. I don't believe that you can see into the unseen. And I think, really, to be honest with you, I think some atheists, like Dr. or Professor Dawkins, has done an excellent job at debunking. Sheikh Adam saying, don't expose me. I'm not exposing you, Sheikh. I'm creating an awareness about you. Hell yeah. So I think, Richard Dawkins has done an excellent job on exposing many of these clairvoyants that you get. If you go on YouTube, people horoscopes, other people that look into a crystal bowl, these psychics, mediums, all these kind of people, he's done an excellent job of going around, and he conducts interviews, and other people have as well, where they bust them. Okay, where they actually get them. So people, I do not believe any of this stuff. Do not buy into this stuff. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, "Man ata arrafan fasaddaqahu bima qal, faqad kafara bima unzila ala Muhammad." That's in Tirmidhi. The Prophet said, anybody who approaches a clairvoyant and believes in what they say has disbelieved in what the Prophet Muhammad has brought. So people, do not buy into that stuff. Okay. Tattoos, I have answered previously. If you check my previous, you can do a search for it. Like I said, Mufti Abu Layth or Mufti Layth tattoos on YouTube. It should come up. I do discuss it in a bit more detail. I do show there is some difference of opinion. As long as it doesn't become disfiguring, or like, you get some of these American gang kind of tattoos. They got it all over there. All right, what is it, M18 or whatever, and the hard knocks in all of those. None of that kind of crazy stuff. But small tattoos, I don't feel that they. I feel there's a difference of opinion. Imam Qarafi is one of them. I think there's an Imam Zanati and a few others of the Malikiyah who kind of say that. So that's. So I do feel there is some scope of difference as long as it doesn't become disfiguring. Somebody asked, isn't Richard Dawkins anti-God? He is, but it doesn't mean he has to speak nonsense. You can disagree with him on that point, but I was just saying he did an excellent job on debunking these superstitions. And look, people, you have to respect people seeking the truth. We can't expect everybody to be Muslim. It doesn't mean we have to hate them. Okay, they just want the truth as well. And they are, in their way, they are seeking the truth. And currently for them, unfortunately, it's led them to there is no belief in Allah. But they have debunked in the process many superstitions. It's amazing that in that way, I salute their efforts. And I feel that just because they don't believe in Allah, like if we weren't born Muslim, we may not believe in Allah. Look, but they have spent their lives' worth dedicated it to debunking what they feel are myths, and in the process, a lot of superstitions, and obviously a lot of scientific work as well. So we have to respect where respect is due. We can disagree about the Islam part. That's our belief. That's their belief. But respect where respect is due. Okay, that's what I say. Right now, there was a question about what's my fondest memory of studying. I would love to share that, inshallah, with you guys some other days. If you haven't watched my clip where I speak about Chronicles from a Madrasa life, do check that out on YouTube and on Facebook. I shared some thoughts, but I would like to share more in the future, inshallah. Kufr bi taghoot. This is a proper, like a HT question, isn't it? The taghoot. The false gods, taghoot. Right. Well, Philip, right, respect right back at you. Thanks for the hair quote. Right, so the thing is, look, taghoot is like these false gods, and because in the Quran it speaks about these false gods, so some of these people believe taghoot today are like governments and leaders and stuff. This is nonsense, right? That is not taghoot, okay? People need to take a chill pill. Okay, this is not what Allah was speaking about in the Quran when He said false gods. He was not speaking about governments and leaders. It doesn't mean that governments are always good or always looking out for the people or they're not bad, but it doesn't mean they're a false god. Okay, I mean, unless you remotely used it in a very metaphorical sense, like trying to say like, oh, you know, just as a one-off, but it's not, in essence, like that's not what Allah is talking about. Mortgages, I've answered this before. I've in much depth. Once again, check my previous Q&A. I have said in my understanding that, look, riba of the Quran, riba al-jahiliyyah, does not refer to mortgages or loans today. These things are different. I give much explanation there. I can't repeat it right now. Check it out, people. And I do say, my understanding, conventional mortgages are permissible. Right, somebody's asked a question. Why can't Muhammad be drawn? I've never understood that. You see, a lot of Muslims don't understand that either. Why? I have answered that previously, but just to clarify, it is actually in one of my Q&A as well, about drawing the Prophet Muhammad. Generally, the Muslims believed that, you see, the Prophet Muhammad, you couldn't alter his attributes, that it wasn't right to alter, even in description. You weren't allowed to. So, for example, let's say the Prophet Muhammad was from Arabia. If we start now saying, oh, he was from China, you couldn't do this because he was a sacred figure within Islam. Now, drawing would lead to some form of alteration because we don't actually know what he looked like. Right? Well, hello, bro, there too. Bluey drew it. So the thing is, this is what it was actually about. Drawing the Prophet Muhammad was not to do with and altering any of the Prophet's attributes. As a closure of mediums was declared strongly condemned, because people were doing that to kind of attack the Prophet traditionally. So to alter his characteristics may lead to that. This is why it was strongly condemned. And drawing him would naturally be some kind of misrepresentation because we don't know what he looked like. Now, people today think, oh, it's drawing him is some kind of kufr or stuff like that. It's not. They think it's like having another god. That's not true, because obviously you can't draw God because we don't understand how God is, but it doesn't mean that's the same ruling, that, you know, you can't draw God, therefore you can't draw the Prophet Muhammad. Not drawing the Prophet Muhammad was to do with not altering his attributes or characteristics, that the preservation of his character. That's what it was about. Right, okay, dreams. People, dreams in general are nothing but, as the Quran refers to them, adghath or ahlam, nothing but nonsensical. You do not need to go too much into this kind of mystical stuff. They don't really have some meaning. I mean, sometimes dreams can be an inspiration, I understand that, but it's not really. I know the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is spoken as a miracle that he could interpret dreams, but it does not mean that that is for normal people. In the Quran it says that was a gift that the Yusuf as a prophet of God had, not normal people. Right, so you cannot, this kind of thing, don't buy into all this interpretation of dreams and stuff like that, people. I would strongly advise against that kind of thing. Look, all you got to do, if you want to see vivid dreams, all you got to do is to start taking glutamine, L-glutamine. You take 5 grams of that every day, you will have incredibly vivid dreams, incredible, like movie-like. They will be so unreal that when you wake up, you wouldn't know whether it was just whether it was a memory or. And I'm serious. That's right. Twilight period. I've answered this in my fast and ficus videos before. That now that the twilight period is approaching, when Isha time won't come in, can you combine? Yes, you can. I've given that details there. Do watch out for my videos, people. Let's just fire away a few. Right, which Arabic to learn? Classical Arabic is the Arabic to learn. Can you delay Salah if you have an appointment? I've answered this before about combining prayers based on convenience. It is permissible. I've given that ruling based on Ashhab, the student of Imam Malik, Ibn Sirin. Do check that out. Right, okay, the UK courts on matters of divorces. Of course, if you have had, somebody's asked, look, if you've got a financial dispute, should you take it to the UK courts? Of course, if you can't settle it amongst yourselves, take it to court. But my only thing would say, somebody said in relation to divorces, my only thing would be that, look, if it's fair, you will know. Okay, the Prophet said in a hadith, istafti qalbak, that seek the counsel from your heart. If you are doing somebody over, because you can outdo them with paperwork or stuff like this, and you know you are doing wrong, then as the Prophet said, that anything you snatch from them is like snatching a piece of the hellfire. That it's wrong, it's haram for you to take people's things unlawfully, unwillingly. I know it would be lawfully because the courts would rule on documentation, and if you could outdo somebody, if you could outmaneuver somebody to get one over them, then that's not true justice. Okay, so if you are fair, right, so the thing is, right, if you are fair and being just, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, and you can resort to that. Life insurance is the same thing, people, as mortgages. So I'm going to leave that. Tattoos I've answered before. Right, people, have we got through all of these? Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think we've got through most of these. People, it's approaching midnight. Whoa, what a session. What a session. Look, Aristotle, right, right, tattoos, you can check them out, right, people, I've answered it in a previous thing in more depth. Okay, people, I think let's call it a night, man, inshallah. It's been just, whoa. a lot has gone down, so the thing is, what I'm going to say is, I'm trying out this different page of mine. I'm going to start promoting this page, inshallah. So if you haven't liked this page, like it, people. God damn it. You know, somebody asked me, I want to answer this question. Somebody asked me, somebody asked me that, why did the Prophet encourage us reading durood, reading a salatu wa salam on the Prophet, sending blessings on the Prophet? Why did he encourage that? Because why does the Prophet need that? The truth is, the Prophet, you're most welcome, Robert, you're most welcome. The truth is, the Prophet did not need that. But what he was teaching us was much greater than that. To just send blessings upon the Prophet, to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, or sallallahu alayhi wasallam, sending blessings upon the Prophet, it takes a few seconds, people. But it is the art of giving, right? He was teaching us how to give. Right, and I don't just mean, look, it costs you nothing. A few seconds to say a kind word, a kind prayer for somebody. Yet will we do it? That is the question. Will we do it? Most people, will they say a kind prayer for somebody? Hell no. Right? Will you like this Facebook post? Hell no. Liking a post doesn't cost anybody anything, but this is a modern interpretation of the art of giving. People do not give, okay? Do not give. This is the thing. We are such a people of withholding. So, and that's human kind of nature that we need to struggle with. We need to become people of giving. So, this is a new page. Like it, share it, get it out there, people. What the hell? Let's get some of these views out there. What the hell? Enough of these other things. Let's kind of dilute them. Of course, inshallah, may Allah make things easy for you, Fatima, and each and all that are watching this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all, okay? Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa afdalu salat wa salam ala al-qa'il al-mamnoon al-madinatu khayrul lahum law kanu ya'lamun. Alright, people, with that, I'm going to leave you. If you're on Facebook, you can add me, share your questions. If you're on Snapchat, it's Malm 2014, MALM 2014. See you then. You can shoot me up your questions. I'll try to respond. Take very good care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all next week. Stay blessed. Over and out.